Hey, welcome in. Well, Ricky Gervais is one of the few stars that's willing to speak out about the curse of wokeness that is dominating their industry. Here's the headline. Ricky Gervais doles out message to woke Gen Z. So what he's saying here has been obvious to many of us for years now, and it has continued to march on unabated. But what does he have to say? Comedian and actor Ricky Gervais this week doled out a message to the youngsters in Generation Z. You can never be woke enough, and there will come a day when you get eaten by your increasingly strict and bizarre standards. And here's the thing, they're not going to listen because they don't care, because they're in a cult. You can go to Jonestown and tell everybody not to drink the Kool-Aid. They're still going to drink the Kool-Aid. And I think part of the problem is that for liberals, real liberals. Now, Ricky Gervais is a real liberal, an old school liberal. He believes in personal freedom, free speech, that sort of thing. And while, postmodernism and wokeism, whatever you want to call it, political correctness, while it had been building up its strength, I think that the old school liberals just saw them as misguided liberals. And they didn't recognize that the modern left is not liberal. In fact, they hate liberals. They hate Ricky Gervais. They hate anybody who dares to dissent from their insane ideology. And the thing is, they're not going to listen, and they're just going to keep attacking. And they don't like Ricky Gervais now, and they're never going to. Now, anybody who's paid any attention to Ricky Gervais's work knows that he's not bigoted in any way. But, a quick search of the internet finds, Ricky Gervais explains transphobic tweets ahead of Golden Globes hosting gig. The comedian told The Hollywood Reporter, "I want people to know I'm not a racist or a homophobe or a sexist." They're not listening. They're looking for witches to burn, and it doesn't matter if you're guilty or not. Thing is, if your jokes rely on even an atom of nuance or subtlety, forget it. It's all over. They ain't interested in that. They want it plain and simple. They want things stated plain and stark. Namely, everything's racist or phobic. But anyway, they got mad at him for a Caitlyn Jenner joke. And this was at the Golden Globes. And of course, he was called transphobic for making the joke. What was the joke? He said, "I'm going to be nice tonight. I've changed. Not as much as Bruce Jenner, obviously. Now, Caitlyn Jenner, what a year she's had. She became a role model for trans people everywhere, showing great bravery in breaking down barriers and destroying stereotypes. Didn't do a lot for women drivers." But you can't have everything, can you? That's not a transphobic joke. That's just making fun of an individual. But again, that doesn't matter because you can't say anything. If it's got the right or the wrong group attached to it, you can't tell the joke. And intent, context, nothing matters. But anyway, he was on a podcast with Sam Harris, Absolutely Mental, and he mocked Gen Z. Quote, "I want to live long enough to see the younger generation not be woke enough for the next generation." Quote, "It's going to happen. Don't they realize that it's they're next? That's what's funny." He continued, "We kicked out the old guard. We did it. There's only so woke and liberal you can get, and then you start going the other way. But it's inevitable." Yeah, because if you go to the extremes on either side, right or left, they end up in the same place. And that place is a miserable authoritarianism, where the individual doesn't matter, where your needs doesn't matter, where what you think is funny doesn't matter. It would be like living at CNN. But to answer Ricky Gervais's question, don't they realize that it's they're next? And I just want to say too, I think that Ricky Gervais is hilarious. I'm a fan of Ricky Gervais. But I have to answer this question here for him. Don't they realize that it's they're next? No, they don't. Because as the standards change from day to day, and they just simply unquestioningly change with them, they expect that they'll just keep doing that forever. Again, these are people that crave authoritarianism. They crave somebody else to tell them what to think, what to read, what to say, what to watch. They're very happy just to change with it. They like the Cultural Revolution. But anyway, let's finish this off. Quote, "The misunderstanding about cancel culture is some people think you should be able to say anything you want without consequences. And that's not true because we're members of a society and people are allowed to criticize you. They're allowed to not buy your things. They're allowed to burn your DVDs. And they're allowed to turn the telly off. What they're not allowed to do is bully other people into not going to see you. Well, I mean, I agree with all of this. And of course, that's a very reasonable, dare I say, liberal way of looking at things. You don't like it, don't watch it, don't buy it. But you're not allowed to bully other people into not being able to see it. Or just, erasing history, say. But they're going to try. That's the thing. They think that they are allowed to do that, and they're going to keep trying to do that. And they do influence social media. They influence Netflix. Will the Dave Chappelle, The Closer special survive? Maybe, maybe not. But you can bet there's not going to be anything coming up after that that resembles it at all. Because that's just not the kind of courage we can expect to see these days, is it? Which is why it's important to support alt tech. Because as they grow, as the audiences grow on alt tech like Rumble, BitChute, Minds, and Odyssey, as people sign up for stuff like Timcast or Daily Wire, or join the Mug Club with Steven Crowder, that actually shrinks the power of the woke and eases the pressure on institutions who at least some of the time, I think, are acting in a purely cynical manner. Anyway, please subscribe, like, and share. That really helps me out. If you just like to listen, there's the podcast Radio Baloney. It's on pretty much every platform. If you look for it, you will find it. Thank you very much. I'll see you next time.